All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the enduring legacy and the core principles of Napoleon Hill's legendary success manual, Think and Grow Rich. If you've ever found yourself wondering how some of the most successful people in the world actually achieve their wildest dreams, well, you are in the perfect place. We aren't just skimming the surface today. We are going to break down the exact blueprint for success that has literally been transforming lives for almost a century. So here is our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at a legacy of success. Second, the 13 steps to riches. Third, wisdom from the four words. And fourth, your blueprint for action. All right, part one, a legacy of success beyond just hype. You know, when you see this iconic blue and gold cover, you gotta realize it's not just some book. It is a literal phenomenon. It's basically the wellspring that almost all modern personal success and positive mindset movements have flowed from. Millions of people have looked at these exact pages and found a direct pathway to their own potential. To really grasp how powerful this stuff is, just look at the incredible story of heavyweight boxing champ Ken Norton. You know, the guy famous for his absolute brawls with Muhammad Ali? Well, Norton credited reading this book literally 100 times during his training for his success. He said it gave him this incredible mental edge to beat Ali back when he was just a quote-unquote green fighter. It wasn't just his physical training at work here, right? It was the mental blueprint from this text that propelled him to victory. And it's wild how universal this is. Just look at the diversity. We've got Damon John, founder of FUBU, who reads it every 2 to 3 years just to keep his fire burning. Peter Ebdon, who took 17 long years to become world snooker champion, but used the book's persistence test to finally get there. Actress Catherine Oxenberg calls it her absolute Bible for unlocking hidden potential. And then you have Al Berger, who read it over 50 times while building this massive global pest elimination company. Champions, CEOs, actors, entrepreneurs, they all point to this exact text as their secret weapon. So why does a book from the 1930s still matter so much today? Well, as editor Ross Cornwell points out, Napoleon Hill originally wrote this to help folks survive the absolute devastation of the Great Depression. But here's the thing, those core principles are exactly what we need for navigating modern financial collapses too. Cornwell notes they act like a life raft during modern economic black holes, like the 2008 financial crisis when giant institutions were just teetering on the edge. The context changes for sure, but the human mindset required to overcome adversity, that stays exactly the same. Moving right along to section 2, the 13 steps to riches, unpacking the blueprint. Okay, let's get right under the hood here. Just a quick glance at the table of contents tells you a lot about Hill's approach. He didn't just throw together some vague, feel-good advice. No, he structured wealth creation into this highly methodical, step-by-step curriculum. Every single chapter is a deliberate stepping stone built right on top of the last one. Notice how the journey starts completely on the inside. Steps 1 through 7 are all about a profound mindset shift. It kicks off with desire, the absolute starting point of all achievement. Then it moves through conditioning your mind with faith, gathering specialized knowledge, and really firing up your imagination. Finally, it starts crystallizing into the real world through organized planning and decision-making, which Hill actually calls the mastery of procrastination. Then, the blueprint gets into some really advanced, almost esoteric concepts in steps 8 through 13. Beyond just the sheer grit of persistence and the collective power of a mastermind, Hill even dives into channeling our primal drives with sex transmutation. From there, he goes deep into the subconscious mind, treats the human brain like this literal broadcasting and receiving station, and tops it all off by tapping into pure intuition with the sixth sense. But wait, he doesn't just stop at step 13. He wraps the whole thing up with this deeply vital epilogue about outwitting the 6 ghosts of fear and taking a real, honest inventory of yourself. He hits us with a tough truth here. All this positive mental framing, all 13 steps, they are completely useless if you don't first clear out the psychological junk and fears holding you back. You literally have to empty your cup of fear before you can fill it up with desire and faith. All right, section 3, wisdom from the forewords, expert guidance. Before you just dive headfirst into those 13 steps, it really pays to listen to the experts who've spent their entire lives studying this text. Take success expert Bob Proctor. In his special foreword, he shares this incredible personal story. Back in 1963, his brother Al handed him a black Moroccan leather copy of the book. At the time, Proctor was a 26-year-old sitting in a Toronto fire hall, completely broke, confused, unhappy, and just lacking any formal business experience. His entire mental focus was fixated on everything he didn't have. And reading this book was the catalyst that completely flipped his paradigm. Proctor explains that this powerful information taught him to look for ways he could do things rather than obsessing over limitations. By repeatedly studying it, he built this deep respect for his own potential, which eventually led him to build the massive global life success group of companies. It completely rewired his brain from a state of limitation to a state of possibility. Oh, and editor Ross Cornwell drops a super practical tip for beginners right in his foreword. Listen to this. If you're picking this up for the first time, do not get bogged down by the 52 pages of endnotes and appendices. Cornwall warns that, yeah, they're historically fascinating, but they will completely kill your initial momentum and interrupt your learning on that first pass. Your goal right out of the gate is to absorb the philosophy, not to become a historian. Which brings us to Section 4, your blueprint for action, how to study the book. So the key here is you don't just read this book, you study it. Bob Proctor lays out this highly rigorous, repetitive routine to basically guarantee results. Step 1, form a daily habit by reading just a few lines every single day. But the real secret sauce is Step 2. You take the chapter on persistence, that's step number 8, and you read it every single day for 30 consecutive days. And then Step 3, you repeat that 30-day persistence cycle at least twice a year. Proctor argues that by doing this, the philosophy literally hardwires itself into how you think and how you live. When you get right down to it, all those thousands of testimonials, all 13 sequential steps, and the book itself boil down to this one legendary quote from Napoleon Hill. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. That single sentence captures the absolute, limitless power of human thought when it's organized, fueled by burning desire, and backed up by rock-solid faith. So, as you get ready to dive into this timeless blueprint for yourself and start conditioning your own mind for success, I want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. What is your mind ready to conceive and believe, starting right this very second? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you on the next one.